Hi everyone, my name is Helene Gerritsen. I'm the director of Go East Festival of Central and Eastern European Film. And right now I'm going to be talking to the director and main actress of the film, Ivana the Terrible. Here she is, Ivana Mladenovic, or should I say Milenkovic. Welcome.
Thank you. Nice to see you, even though it's on this kind of screens, but still, it's it's important, I guess.
Yeah, and you're actually in the film set right now. You're joining us from the metropolis of Kladovo.
Yes, of this Gotham city of Serbia. I'm just joking, but yes, this is the wallpaper that my grandfather made in '80s. So I'm in his house now. He's not here, but he died like I don't know 9 years ago. But his wallpaper is still here. So I'm saying hi from here.
Yeah, you made a very autobiographical film in which you casted your friends and family to play themselves. Where did this unusual idea come from?
I'm wondering of how unusual that idea is, because right now I'm like doing a PhD studies on reenactment, especially in first person, which I became very interested in after I made this film, because this film came from a very personal need, but now it became like a bigger idea, you know, if you know what I mean. It began in 2017, since I had some like severe health problems, and I was going to the doctors and they were saying that I was completely fine, and that I'm just having like anxiety, and I couldn't believe it. So I started writing a script. And after 7 days of writing a script, I realized that it actually might be true. So I went even a little bit further, and I called all the people involved, like all my family, all my friends, my ex-boyfriends, to help me make this reenactment of these horrible events, and try to understand better in a way what is going on, but through film.
And did it work?
In a way, it did work, and especially after people seeing the film, and when they were commenting on what was going on, I think I was listening more and trying to figure out more, and I realized that this is not necessarily only a film about me, but it's also about other girls from this small town, and I guess from this eastern bloc.
Mm. You were the director of the film and also the main actress at the same time. Did you have a specific method how you could combine those two roles?
Yes, I called two of my best friends to direct me, and also like I called a director from Romania. Her name is Ana Sel, and 10 years ago she made a film in which she casted her family and her husband and daughter and everybody else. So I I called her to help me direct me and my other friend Andrei Rus. So I called them to come and to make sure that I can be myself. So because it was very hard to control yourself like in a film, and because it's one thing you have things in script, you think you can do stuff that you write in the script. But when the moment of filming comes, I became very shy, and I was like, maybe we won't film this today. Maybe this hard thing we can film this another day. So they were here to like make sure that we film everything that it was in the script, and actually help me out. So yes, I called for help.
And well, you just mentioned your interest in first-person reenactments. You choose to fictionalize your own story, but I noticed there's this tendency in Central and Eastern Europe, and especially also in Romania, with documentary filmmakers, that they make first-person documentaries. This seems to be very strong tendency and movement at this moment in time. There's like Holy Father, Everything Will Not Be All Right, and there are many more examples where the filmmakers are in the film themselves making a film about their family, their own story, very personal things. And I was wondering, are millennials in Central and Eastern Europe going through like a collective identity crisis, or what could be the reason for that? Do you have a theory?
Well, maybe it's this huge anxiety that everybody are feeling, so they need to reinvestigate themselves and their background and where they're coming from. I don't know. Really don't know. I think there were this kind of tendencies even before, but maybe it's also because, I mean, I can speak only from my own point of view. For me, it was also very hard to find a means for this kind of film. So to find somebody who will finance this film. So I started this film also, I mean, because of personal reasons, because I needed to investigate it together with my family and start from my own yard and then speak about bigger problem. But it was also because of the money, because I had to finance this kind of films. So I made this film into much more personal story. But no, it was not only that. I don't know. I don't know how to say it for other people why they do it, but for me it was just the big necessity. And then I realized what is this film that it's talking about, this kind of like generations and generation gap between parents and grandparents and us younger people, even though we're not so young anymore. So I don't know. I really don't know what is these tendencies, but you're right. Actually, you're quite right. There were other films, even before, like Agnes Varda and Chantal Agnew. There were a lot of
No,
films.
of course, but it's in Central and Eastern Europe. I noticed that it's kind of a small wave going on right now. But we will get to the bottom of this eventually. We will find out what the reason is.
I don't know what is the whole wave, but yes, I noticed in documentaries even more than in fictional films. But this, in a way, even as a cerebral, is a. I was thinking of it, what it is more. Is it a documentary more, or is it a fiction more? I guess it's much more fiction.
You studied and now work mostly in Romania, but you grew up in Serbia. And this is Ivana the Terrible is also a film about Romanian-Serbian relations, because it's set in a border town of Kladovo. At some point we have this festival of Romanian-Serbian friendship, basically. How would you describe the relationship between the two countries? Because after the Yugoslavian wars, those relationships were quite strained between Romania and Serbia. What's your view on this?
Well, yes, I'm from this small town in Serbia. It's called Kladovo, and it's on the border. And like all my life, I was looking, on the other side of the Danube, but I would see Romania like the rest of the people here. So for our city, the friendship between Romanians and Serbians was very important, because depends on what time in history these two cities, Drobeta, Turnu Severin, and Kladovo, were kind of co-depending on each other. So when they were under Ceausescu, Serbians were helping them out. When we had like NATO bombing and everything, it was very important that Romanian city would help us. So I don't know, the way I see it, even though as a person, I live in Romania for the last 15 years and I'm just visiting now Serbia. The way I see it, it's even though like politics in 2000 was not like on the side of this kind of friendship, but the way I see it between peoples, it's quite friendly. I've never seen something that it's kind of like maybe a little bit of a jealousy, but that's not something like really important. That's kind of funny, when Romanians are coming to visit our city and you see that they have big cars and Serbia is quite economically in really bad state, you actually realize that it's more about little jealousies than something like some bigger problems. But the way I see it, it was quite impressive amount of friendship, to be honest. Even though politically people would not say the same thing.
Yeah, I guess that's also a typical thing of border towns, that they have their own dynamics. Did the people in Kladovo see the film, and what were their reactions?
Well, not all of them have seen the film, because film had an unfortunate it was supposed to have like premiere in an unfortunate moment when the lockdown started. And even in Romania, when it was the lockdown of all cinemas was just on the day of our premiere. So the same thing happened in Serbia. In Belgrade, I had a couple of shows. So I invited everybody who lived in Kladovo to come and see the film, but all the protagonists saw the film. I took them to Sarajevo Film Festival to see the film. I took all the protagonists from the film to see, because it was very important when you have this kind of I would not say like a tricky method of working, but when you work with non-professionals, you have to make sure that everybody sees the film, that everybody are aware of what they did and what their achievements.
Okay, but how are the reactions from your own collaborators?
Well, it's a different, even though we like prepare the film for like 1 year and a half and everything is rehearsed, there is no improvisations and stuff, and everybody knew exactly what they were shooting and what they filmed. Everybody somehow thought that it was film about them, and everybody were complaining that there is so little of them in the film. So when the film finished, they were like, wow, this was it? I thought that it's more of me, that the film is more about me. So it was funny. My father said, I thought the film is about me. And the other one said, I thought the film is about me. And I said, no, the film is about me.
But did it have a different title when they read the script, or how come that? Because the title is quite obvious what it's going to be about.
Yeah, what the film is. It was a different title, yes. The title was Summer Night 10:30, based on Margaret Duras' novel.
Oh, I see.
Yes, and but we changed the title when we started sending the film to sales agents, because it was very interesting thing. We would send the film for people to see if they would like to represent our film in markets and everything. And they said, oh, we know Ivana, she's such a sweet person in life, but on screen she's so annoying. And we don't like this kind of annoying female character. And I was like, but look, I mean, we knew that she's not like a very like of a sweetheart, that she might be annoying, but that was like our intention, to show that she's not feeling okay with herself, and that's why she's annoying to herself and to other people. But people just didn't grasp the idea that we are aware of it. So I remember sitting with my crew and we were discussing this, and I told them, like, look, what are we going to do? We have to make sure that everybody understand that we are aware of who our characters. And then a friend of mine said, just give her, you know, even a terrible title. So this is actually how this title helped the film in a way.
Yeah, you just owned your terribleness, basically. I think it's a very healthy.
I don't know. I guess that people needed to, you know, we're the team and me, that we are aware of who this character is. But yes, we were quite aware.
And the funny thing is that for me, it also has the effect that you think, oh, she's not that terrible after all. You also see the lot of the good sides.
It's not so much about if she's so terrible or not. The fact is that everybody around her is telling her that she's terrible and that she's horrible and that she's so, and she is sometimes being terrible, but the film is not necessarily about how terrible she is. It's more of the context and more of her relationships with her and people around her. So I guess that's why. But yes, she's not so terrible after all.
No, she's not. And so there's many scenes where we can easily identify they were shot at home or with friends, but there's the opening scene of the film on the train. And I was wondering how you shot that and who the actors were in there.
On the train, it's just people from the town across the Danube, from Turnu Severin. I didn't take the actors. I took mothers of our friends and their friends. So even though that the scene happened in reality, when I was going back home in 2017, I just couldn't take the people and do the reenactment of that scene because I didn't know that people from reality. But I remember that I have spoken with women across the Danube, and we were talking about these yoga teachings that were happening in round, and they had quite a similar opinion like the people on train. So it was funny to do a reenactment, but the reenactment that is not necessarily reenactment, but the people who had similar opinion about it. But yes, they were friends. They were mothers of my friends.
So beware of yoga when you're in Kladovo or that region, because they might think you're part of a satanic sect.
Yeah, it's very strange how people see this type of like alternative healings. And I think even me back in the days, I had a similar like what is this? And then when I tried it, I was like, oh, this is good.
Yeah. So, I mean, this pandemic has influenced us all. It has affected our work. What is your grasp on the situation? Are you working on something new right now? How is the situation in Serbia? You just told me that in Kladovo, actually, the COVID pandemic is taking quite dramatic forms.
It is like the whole old people's house is like something like 60 people is infected, and they're in a quite bad state, I guess. And cinemas are still not in a lockdown in Serbia, but I think that these days it will happen the same thing like in Romania. From today, Romania is in another um, police hour. I don't know how it is called, but like you're not
Curfew.
allowed to. Yeah. So I think that it's going slowly towards another lockdown. Situation is not the best for cinemas and for film industry. I guess it's quite hard. For me right now, it's like I'm really feeling sorry that my film didn't have the chance to have like a proper premiere and be in the cinemas, because I think people can actually relate to this kind of characters, and because this film is also made with a lot of humor and tenderness, I think it could kind of communicate a lot of important stuff through humor to people. But right now I'm like writing my new script, and for that the lockdown is sometimes like beneficial. So I made to finish my new script during this lockdown, and now I'm working on making it better. So that's it.
Good.
It's a new film. It's called Sorella di Clausura. It's based on an autobiographical book, like most of the stuff I did before, and I hope it's going to be another like a good reenactment with the people who were in this autobiographical book. So it's quite a similar approach that I like what I was working on until now.
Well, we're very curious about it already, and we hope to see the final results as soon as possible. So I wish you all the best, and at least you have a wonderful view when you're working on your script. With the mountains and the trees in the background.
Actually, here it's very good, and I can go to the nature, so it's fine. But like I think that this lockdown is worse for people who live in the big cities. So
yeah,
I'll stay here for a while, I guess.
Yeah, it sounds like a good idea. But we hope to see you in Wiesbaden maybe next year or the year after that. So I wish you all the best. Thank you so much for the talk.
I wish you all the best as well, and thank you for inviting me, and I really hope that people will enjoy the film.
Me too. So all of the competition films of Go East this year can be watched still on Xground On Demand. And also please don't forget to vote for the Audience Award.